Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the entire merciful, the especially merciful, my dear brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace and blessing be upon all of you, my dear brothers and sisters. Alhamdulillah, we are back with another new lecture, the fiqh, and we stopped in Kitab al-Salat, the book of the prayer. So, Sheikh says, al-awqat allati tukrahu fiha salat, the times that the Muslim should be away from praying in those times. What are those times? It says, فصل وخمسة أوقات لا يصلي فيها إلا صلاة لها سبب. There are 5 times that the Muslim are not allowed to pray. In those 5 times, in exception of if there is a reason for you to pray, then you can pray. If not, you are not allowed to pray. Which in the future we will come talk about what are those reasons, inshallah ta'ala. It says, بعد صلاة الصبح حتى تطلع الشمس. After the Fajr, the first prayer, the morning prayer until the sun is out. After you prayed, then you're not allowed to pray anymore until the sun is out. وعند الطلوع حتى تكتمل وترتفع قدر رمح. i.e. when the sun is out until is up and by 1 rumh, i.e. like 45 centimeter, 30 centimeter. By the time you could say 15-20 minutes. After the sun is out, sun rising, until 15-20 meter, you are not allowed to pray until after that time. Then afterward you pray. For example, the sun rise is on 5, wait 50 minutes, 5:20, then pray 5:20, 5:21, you are allowed to pray. وإذا استوى حتى نزول, i.e. when it's in the middle of the sky until it goes down, even little bit. So when it's in the middle of the sky, you are not allowed to pray. When is in the middle of the sky? When it's down, which means nuzul, i.e. when the Salat al-Dhuhr entered, then you are allowed to pray. Before that, it is like maybe 1 or 2 minutes before Salat al-Dhuhr. 1 minute. That is the time for it. So in that time, you are not allowed to pray. An exception, which we will come to later on. وبعد العصر حتى تغرب الشمس. After Asr until Maghrib. وعند غروب حتى يتكامل الغروبها. And when the sun set until it's proper set, i.e. after Maghrib until before the Adhan until after Adhan, proper Adhan is done, then you are allowed to pray. Those are the times that you are not allowed to pray. In exceptions, which we said we will not go into deep in this lectures, but it's important to say here. In exceptions, we have those 5 times, but you are allowed to pray in exceptions if, for example, you went into the mosque after Asr. After Asr, you are not allowed to pray. But if you go into the mosque, they say Tahiyyat al-Masjid, the salam of the mosque. This is the way that you go inside the mosque. In this case, because there is a reason, then you pray. It's okay. If you did the wudu, then in exception of that you do is okay. For example, if you got a good news, if somebody gave you good news, you pray for Allah, thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by praying 2 rakat. You have an excuse, you have a reason, then you pray. In those excuses and extensions, and you are prayed, you are allowed to pray, but other than that, you are not. And in future, inshallah, we will come to it more reasons that it allows us to pray. There are more reasons, inshallah. Then the Sheikh says, Salatul Jama'ah, in the group praying, i.e. going to the mosque or pray in the group. Faslun wa Salatul Jama'ati sunnatun mu'akkada. Salatul Jama'ah, going to the mosque, is sunnah mu'akkada, i.e. is sunnah, but is more than sunnah, is mu'akkad, i.e. that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he encourages us more and more to go to the salat in the mosque and in jama'ah, in a group, and to do it in a group. And especially it means here going to the mosque. When it says sunnah, it doesn't mean that you don't do it anymore. No, it is sunnah mu'akkada, it's more mu'akkad. And there are hadith on this matter which we will come to in later on. وَعَلَى الْمَأْمُومِ أَنْ يَنْوِيَ الْجَمَاعَةَ دُونَ الْإِمَامِ. It is duty for you that you pray, you do the intention that you pray in the group, in the jama'ah with the imam. It's for you. But the imam, he doesn't need to do that intention. But for you as a Muslim that you pray behind someone, you must have the intention that you are praying in jama'ah, you praying with the group, with the others. This is something that we must know. And then the Sheikh says, so another thing says, ويجوز أن يأتم بالحر والعبد والبالغ بالمراهق. i.e., it is allowed for you as a Muslim that a slave, a non-slave pray with a slave, and other way around, and the kid, i.e., when someone is growing, i.e., for example, like after murahiq, it is the age that is after the growing, after the purity age, which means, like you could say, from the age of 8, 9, 7, 10, those they are allowed to become imam in our fiqh, and it is permissible to be an imam. For example, if someone is 10 years old and he's half of the Quran and he knows how to pray, for someone's 8 years old and he knows how to pray and he's good to be an imam, to lead the salat, then he's allowed to lead the salat. Same thing for a slave, he can lead the salat as well. Yeah, if he's a slave as well, he's allowed to lead the salat and to be the imam, to be the sheikh and pray, and we pray behind him. It is allowed. Yes, ولا يأتم الرجل بالمرأة ولا قارئ بالأم. This is very, very important topic. It is not allowed for a lady to be an imam for a man, but it's allowed for the man to be an imam, to lead the salat, and the woman is behind. She is behind. This is allowed, but the other way around is not allowed. ولا قارئ بالأم. This is very, very important topic here. قارئ بالأم. Ummi, it is someone that cannot read and write. This doesn't mean it in that occasion. Here it means that someone, he cannot read Fatiha in a good way. If for someone he's not able to read Fatiha in a good as it should be, then he's not allowed to lead the salat. He's not allowed to lead the salat. Even if he is 50 years old, he is 40 years old. If he cannot read the Fatiha correctly, he is not allowed to lead the salat. If he leads the salat, the people's salat is not accepted, even his as well. Allahu A'lam. So someone must lead the salat, he knows how to read Fatiha. It means that, for example, walad dhalin, alhamdu, he doesn't say alhamdu, he doesn't say walad dhalin, he doesn't change the words. So he knows how to read Fatiha as it should be. وأي موضع صلى في المسجد بصلاة الإمام. Okay, this is another topic. i.e., in the mosque, wherever he prays with the imam, his salat is accepted. He prayed in the group, in the jama'ah. وهو عالم بصلاته, i.e., he knows that the movement of the imam. As long as you know the movement of the imam, then you are allowed to pray with him in a group. وأجزأه, and he is accepted. ما لم يتقدم عليه, as long as that you do not go front of the imam. For example, in the same line is very far, or you are the other side and the imam is inside the masjid. As long as you do not go front of the imam, then it's okay. For example, sometimes the lines are very long, as is in Medina. If you have been to Medina, you know the line is very far, long line. Sometimes the lines, the people go forward, then they have put a line on the sign that's saying this is where the imam is. Do not go forward more than that. So you are not allowed to pray front of the imam. the sheikh should be front and you should be behind. We must know this. You should not be ahead of the imam. While you are on the line, you should be behind the imam. Even like very little, it's okay, but as long as you are behind the imam, that is fine. وإن صلى خارج المسجد قريبا منه وهو عالم بصلاته ولا حائل هناك جاز ولا حائل هناك جاز. i.e. that if you pray, for example, the sheikh is inside the mosque and you are outside the mosque, it is allowed for you to pray outside the mosque for as long as, in two occasions, you know the movement of the imam, and also there is not something that close between you and the imam. Something close between you and the imam, for example, like a door, for example, like a wall. I.e., there must be a gap. There must be a gap. There must be something that you are aware of the movement of the imam, and you see or you hear the movement of the imam. And that is another occasion that we must be aware that we must know, i.e. in here, that it means that we must know the movement of the imam, the movement of the sheikh. If we know that the sheikh goes to ruku', we know that the sheikh is up, we are aware of it, even if we are very, very far. And also, this is another thing that we must know. The guys behind the imam is one after him, and one after him, one after him. Like this also, it's allowed for us, even if we're very, very far. If we do not know the direct action of the imam, but we know what the ones front of us does it, though we are sure of that we are following the imam. We are confident on knowing what is the imam does. As long as we know what the imam does, that our salat is accepted, and it is considered and accepted as in a jama'ah, as in a group. Because the salat in a group, in the jama'ah, it is more rewarded than the salat by yourself. So that's why the scholars, they talk about this matter here. In the case of if you pray with the imam, if you pray with the sheikh in the mosque or anywhere else, you should be aware of this occasions, and you should be following him in his actions. In his actions, what he does. This is the end of the today's lecture, inshallah ta'ala. Inshallah, we will come back with another lecture. هذا والله أعلم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد. Peace and blessing be upon all of you, my dear brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.